Hello everyone and welcome to the live stream. I hope that you're all doing good tonight. We're going to be hanging out for a little bit. I have a couple of different topics that I want to discuss. Some that are new that unfortunately are follow-ups to situations I've talked about in the past. And two that are kind of ongoing. Tonight, listen, not a lot of positivity, okay? I'm just gonna be honest. I guess one of the topics I have positive words to say about a movie itself. But, unfortunately, the topic at hand isn't positive. Not a lot of positivity. Tonight we're gonna be talking about the Wheel of Time. I have never really gotten into the Wheel of Time. It's never been something that I've been like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, or something that I've read. I have like a prior experience with, but the show has finally come out, and the ratings for it actually aren't too bad, but a lot of people still have a lot of not so positive things to say about it. They've made apparently a lot of changes to the story. A lot of changes to the characters, the casting, a lot of people say is really bad, and one of the showrunners was kind of smack-talking Game of Thrones a little bit, saying the Game of Thrones style scenes always felt wrong, they never liked them, yet they included those same types of scenes in the Wheel of Time. So I want to talk about Wheel of Time. I want to talk about Battlefield 2042. As you guys know, I did try to play it over the weekend, and it was a major disaster. And to no one's surprise, it's getting pretty awful reviews right now, and it is now one of the worst rated games on Steam of all time. And I'm not going to read too many of the reviews, but I still wanted to talk about the situation because this is a game that a lot of people were really excited about. A lot of people were really looking forward to Battlefield 2042, and unfortunately, it's just been a major disaster. And that always sucks, because even for me, even if I don't get super excited for a game, or it's something that I'm not looking forward to like some other people are, I don't want things to come out and I don't want them to instantly fail. So I wanted to talk about this. I want to talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, I did mention this over the weekend, but I did see Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I thought that it was a pretty good movie. I was a really big fan of it. I thought they did a really good job. And, of course, the Mary Sue decided to put out an article saying, let's unpack the sexist box office narrative around Ghostbusters Afterlife. And they basically say, oh, how could people, you know, like this movie more than Ghostbusters 2016? And it says things like, Answer the Call, which was 2016, made more money than Afterlife, but was still deemed a flop. Gee, I wonder why. Oh, guys, it's gotta be because of sexist narratives. And, spoiler alert. I'll let you guys know once we get to the topic, but I'm going to be discussing Masters of the Universe, because Revelation Part 2 finally released, and you guys know, when Part 1 came out, I talked about it quite a lot. I was really disappointed with the direction that they were seemingly going in with Revelation, and I thought that with Part 1, it was really bad, and how much worse could they make it? I figured not much. But boy, oh boy, did they really go there. They have royally screwed up Masters of the Universe. And Revelation Part 2 is just a disaster. It is not good. I'm gonna read kind of the general plot of it and show off what they decided to do to some of the main characters. And yeah, that's definitely, there's nothing there that's positive. It's an absolute fucking joke what they've turned Masters of the Universe into. So, those are the topics we're going to be discussing tonight. Welcome everyone into the stream. Hope your evening's going well. And I think that we're going to start with Wheel of Time. It's going to be a kind of quick topic. I'm just going to be kind of passing over it. Because I haven't seen the show. I don't have like any in-depth thoughts about it. All I really know is what's being said about it right now, what other fans of it kind of have to say about it, but I still wanted to talk about it, even if only briefly. But hi guys. I like to watch or experience something for myself and take reviews and criticism with a grain of salt, or just avoid it altogether. Fair enough. Some people just hate everything. For example, everyone hated Game of Thrones Season 8, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. See, I'm gonna disagree with you there, because I thought that Game of Thrones Season 8, I was in the group of people that thought that it was really bad. I felt like that the direction that they wanted to go in, right? With, like, Daenerys and the Starks, I didn't think that those were bad directions to go in. I just felt like they were done far too quickly. And I know that they needed to end the show that season because they basically didn't want to keep doing it anymore, and they just wanted to beat on with it so they could move on to other projects. But I felt like if they had taken 2 or 3 seasons to really go from point A to point B and like, I don't want to say draw out those experiences, but also give them enough time to actually make sense, I don't think that that ending would have been the worst. I just felt like it was so rushed and so crammed together that there's no way that I could like it, simply because of how awfully told it was and how rushed the experience was. That was my biggest problem with Season 8 of Game of Thrones. It wasn't even like the whole Daenerys arc, or, you know, the Starks arc with Bran. Like, those to me could have been valid directions to go in with the characters. I just felt like it was so rush. We have to get it done as quickly as possible, and it just really showed. I liked all of Game of Thrones. I wasn't a huge fan of Season 7, and then I wasn't a fan of Season 8. And it's a shame that's kind of how it ended off. It's too bad that in our lifetimes we'll never get the full story. It's taken too long to even write one book, never mind other books, because this apparently isn't going to be the last book in the series. But yeah, it's a shame that they just rushed to get it done so quickly that it ended up being kind of a disaster. Game of Thrones realistically should have lasted 11 to 12 seasons. Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like 8 seasons was just too... I felt like with Season 7, right? It didn't feel like the next season's gonna be the end season. It felt like at the point of Season 7, 3 more seasons maybe, it didn't feel like the next one, boom, that's it. And that was my biggest problem. Because it just felt like you could see the quality fucking nosedive off a cliff. And I understand that they ran out of source material, so that was a big problem. But after Season 6, it's just that content was so rushed because they didn't know how to pace it. They didn't know how many more seasons were going to get signed. They didn't know what to do. But we were talking Game of Thrones. Like, they could have easily gotten many more seasons out of that. Even if George R. R. Martin didn't want that for the show and didn't want it written that way, they could have easily, okay, done 2 filler seasons of the damn show. And then had, like, 2 other seasons be kind of the wrap-up and the finale. It was just so bizarre. Like, suddenly, we need to get this done as quickly as possible, and this is how we're gonna do it. And it was just really disappointing. Yeah, the ending felt rushed. One episode, they're at the wall. The next episode, they're at the steps of the... Yeah, it just felt so... like, what would take 3 or 4 episodes in the previous seasons literally took 1 episode to get everything done. I really liked the pacing of the show before Season 7 and Season 8. I felt like it was really well done. Again, they had source material to work with, and I know that they kind of... I feel like got kind of overwhelmed, probably, because they had so many characters and so much of a story that they had to wrap up themselves. But honestly, they could have done, like, 3 other filler seasons, and just the show could have ended off so much better. And I feel like now the problem is that we look at all these different fantasy series, and everyone is being held to a Game of Thrones standard because for the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones, it was an amazing show because the source material was really good. But no one obviously wants to... How do I say this? No one wants to have their show end the way that Game of Thrones reception ended because everyone was feeling very negative about Game of Thrones in the last season. No one, I don't want to say no one liked the ending, but people were extremely disappointed. So of course, we're talking about fantasy series being held to a Game of Thrones at its prime standard, which is just, I don't want to say it's impossible for shows to do, but it's really, really fucking hard for them to do. Because the show was so good. I mean, honestly, probably AP. George watched the last season, saw the reaction, he probably scrapped most of his work and is starting over. Guys, it took him that long to at least get I don't know, 5 or 6 chapters done. He had to restart those 5 or 6 chapters. We're never getting this series wrapped up. Never. And it sucks, because Game of Thrones, to me, was never as good as a Lord of the Rings. It was never good as a Tolkien, or the work was never good as Tolkien's. But it had a lot of different things that I liked about it, like the character depth. I didn't mind, you know, a lot of the points. I really liked the fact that you had multiple point of views. I thought that the show overall and the books were really, really good. And then Dumb and Dumber ran out of source material and they had no fucking clue what to do. It's like they tried to do what fans wanted, but they didn't know how to get to that point, so they just rushed it as much as possible, and it ended up just not being good. Because, let's be honest, having a Daenerys Targaryen villain arc, that shit would have been cool. I don't hate that concept. But when you have this fucking woman going for 7 goddamn seasons of, I'm not gonna end up like my father, yet she literally fucking ends up like her father, it made no sense. It's literally like between season 7 and 8, there's like 5-10 years worth of gap. She has gone through the worst experiences in her life, and it didn't add up. I thought other stories wrapped up pretty well, honestly. Wouldn't have minded Jon Snow dying. I don't want to say I hate Jon Snow. Dislike him a lot. But it's just, they didn't wrap that story up in a good way. Honestly, I wish that we would have gotten a redo. We need a fucking Thanos snap on the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. We'll get started with Wheel of Time in a second, guys. He waits 1 year to write 1 word in a book. Nah, I think that's being mean. I think that he writes at least 1 sentence in a year. I think that's fair. I don't think he's gonna finish it though. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know. Unless he literally plans to wrap up the book storylines in this next book, which I'm pretty sure he said that he wasn't planning to do that. I have no clue how, with his fucking speed of writing, he's ever gonna get a book done, never mind finish the series. 1 7-worded sentence. Yeah. That's how it goes. Yeah, she needed, like, multiple other seasons, like 3 other seasons to establish her fall to insanity. And I don't think that would have been bad, like, if they wanted to go in that direction. I think that would be valid. But all the shit that happened to her in that last season, like losing her friends, losing her loved ones, losing her family, yeah, that's gonna make someone go fucking insane. But you can't, you shouldn't be shoving all of those things into like 3 episodes. It didn't, the pacing, it just wasn't there. Those are things that you expect to see over like 3 seasons and more, obviously, because I truly don't believe that was enough to make her go fucking nutso in like a week time in the show. But they did what they did. Even a Thanos snap couldn't save the stench from the last season, honestly. Yeah, it sucks, but it's the content we got, guys. Not my Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones season I feel like 6 was okay, but for me, I'd get rid of 7 and 8. I really would. But alright, you guys, let's start off with the first topic, which is going to be a relatively quick topic. It's not going to be too long of a discussion, just because I personally don't have a lot of existing knowledge. Thank you, Oron, for the $104 donation. Thank you so much. I personally don't have a lot of knowledge on Wheel of Time. All I can really go on are the reviews that I've read, the general descriptions of the story that I have, and real fans' point of view on Wheel of Time. I've never read Wheel of Time, and I definitely think that it's something I've considered, and I do want to rant about that a little bit. But Wheel of Time is finally released, and this is a series a lot of people were looking forward to, but a lot of people felt very skeptical about. We have heard for years now that they were making a lot of questionable choices when it came to the story. They were changing a lot of existing material when it came to the story. And now that the show is out, a lot of people aren't that thrilled about this series and the content that exists right now. A lot of people are saying things like they completely changed some of the story points. They didn't choose the best actors and actresses possible for the roles. Overall, it felt like a very messy adaptation, and the scores on Rotten Tomatoes right now aren't actually that bad for the Wheel of Time. When I personally see like an 83 to an 85%, I say that sounds like a pretty decent series. Doesn't sound the worst, but it's actually funny because the audience score is quite a bit higher than the reviewer scores for Wheel of Time. And I wanted to read some of the first reactions to it. It hasn't been out that long, so I think that that's important to note. So these are scores that will probably end up going down still. It's sitting at a 73 reviewer and an 83% audience, and it only came out a couple days ago. So when shows come out at first, usually numbers fluctuate. Probably in 2 to 3 weeks we'll actually see kind of the sitting scores for this, but I wanted to read a couple of points that people have made about it. Reviewers are saying things. Let me move this over. Reviewers are saying things like any good fantasy epic, The Wheel of Time is one that promises very impressive returns, provided audience are willing to settle in for the long haul. Now, like with Game of Thrones, I feel like most people are willing to give shows and products multiple chances, multiple seasons, and they're not instantly like, nope, season 1 didn't catch my interest, so I'm not giving it another chance. But it has to have something that continuously brings you in and draws you back to the show. And that's something that worked out really well for Game of Thrones. The pacing was really well done. People are saying things like spectacular CGI, spectacular battles, spectacular town shatterings, but spectacle is not storytelling. I've awarded 3 stars because if this is what you like, I'm confident you will like this. 3 out of 5, which isn't too bad. It's not super positive. It's not like the best scores you could see, but it's also not terrible. From the trailers that I've seen and a couple of the scenes that I've seen, the CGI did look pretty good. Initially, I was actually pretty interested in this Wheel of Time series, and I was actually going to watch it when it released, But I'm someone who hasn't read the original source material, and from reading fans' first reactions, while some of them are positive, there are quite a few from people that are just really disappointed with the direction they took this series in, and disappointed with the creative decisions they've made. People are saying things like it doesn't eventually bed in somewhat, but not as much as it should. The characters simply don't possess enough pop to draw in those who don't come immersed in the mythology, and the special effects are uneven. Now, as someone who's looking at this from the outside, someone who doesn't have any existing knowledge on this, hearing that the characters don't possess enough pop to draw in people who don't already know the existing lore and mythology, that's worrying, because with something, and I'm comparing this a lot to Game of Thrones, because the next article that I want to briefly read on it does that quite a bit. That's the thing with Game of Thrones, is that you didn't need to read the books to understand what was going on. The show explained everything really, really well. And the books are usually better than shows and movies, of course. But as someone who doesn't know a lot about it, hearing that unless you already know everything, it's going to be a really messy experience, that's worrying. That's disappointing to hear. It makes me kind of take a step back and go, well, do I really want to spend my time watching this and experiencing this? I wanted to bring up this article from Bounding Into Comics that talks about the showrunner, because we've seen quite a bit of different marketing with this series. We've seen a lot of kind of woke marketing with this show. They had marketed it with, you know, some gender swaps and race swaps, and they were changing the story to be more inclusive, of course. But the Wheel of Time showrunner admitted that Game of Thrones style scenes always felt wrong, yet they included them anyway, which makes absolutely no sense. So it says the Wheel of Time showrunner recently admitted that attempting to include Game of Thrones style scenes into the show always felt wrong. Now, when I first read this, I think if they don't like these types of scenes, why the fuck would they try to add them into the show? Because yes, something like Game of Thrones was very successful, but you don't need to copy Game of Thrones' exact formula for it to be as successful or even half as successful as it. And I understand that companies, you know, are signing on to fantasy projects like this thinking, can we make this compete to a Game of Thrones? Look at The Witcher. The reason why The Witcher was adapted was because they needed some kind of fantasy that was going to take Game of Thrones' spot, and it has done really well so far. But you don't need to copy a show's exact formula. It says their comments came in a lengthy interview with The Hollywood Reporter promoting the show. I feel like a lot of the promotion for this series has been pretty fucking wonky, because they've tried to establish that this is a new show. They're doing a lot different. It's a really unique experience, yet they're going into interviews comparing this series to something like Game of Thrones. So it's like, do you want people to go, this is the next Game of Thrones? Or do you want people in many years to go, it is not like those other fantasy experiences at all? You can't do both. You just can't. You either need to market it as something brand new, or you need to say, this is the new Game of Thrones. So it says, during the interview, the Hollywood Reporter's interviewer asked, between this and The Lord of the Rings, Amazon in particular has put a lot of money towards big fantasy series, and there was a report a few years ago about Jeff Bezos, like everyone I suppose, wanting his own Game of Thrones. But having read all of the Game of Thrones books, there's not really a lot in common with Wheel of Time. Did you feel any pressure to deliver a more, I guess, adult version? It says, they responded, I think the whole series of Wheel of Time books is much more aimed at adult audiences than the first Wheel of Time book is. Eye of the World shares way more with Lord of the Rings than it does with Game of Thrones. It's really very much that high fantasy adventure storytelling, and these words to me are things that would draw me in. High fantasy, adventure, great storytelling, things that I'd be pretty interested in watching a show about. But when, 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 when when you're trying to use all these big series and say, oh my gosh, we're gonna do it as good or if not better, it's kind of a turnoff. Of course, though, hearing about Jeff Bezos wanting his own Game of Thrones isn't that fucking surprising, let's be honest. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't want their own Lord of the Rings or their own Game of Thrones? It says he continued, so for me, I wanted to infuse the first season of the show with a lot of the things that made people love about the Wheel of Time series as a whole, but none of those choices were made to chase Game of Thrones. I think anytime people tried to put that in the show, or I tried to put that in the show, it just always felt wrong. So it says there are much more hopeful and more wholesome books than Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was written as a counterpoint to the high fantasy that had preceded it, with the idea of, like, what if this world was much more nihilistic, darker, violent, more sexual? And I think that those were things that worked for Game of Thrones, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, when the first couple seasons of Game of Thrones were coming out, everyone was talking about the sex scenes and all these beautiful actresses. It worked. It gained them a lot of popularity. And I don't think wanting to compare your own show to something like a Game of Thrones is a killer, but you're always going to be in the shadow of content that's come out that's probably better than what you're creating. It says, however, while they admitted including Game of Thrones style scenes felt wrong, he still put them into the show. This is what I don't understand, is that as a creator, as a showrunner or director, you don't have to copy the exact formula of a show that's worked in the past. And I understand that obviously you want to a certain extent, probably because you want to capitalize on all the people who liked that previous content. But if you're saying it felt icky and it wasn't your show, why the hell would you do this? I mean, we've heard that they've changed around a lot of the story in Wheel of Time, apparently. A lot of the casting just doesn't seem good. And Wheel of Time isn't something that I've read, but knowing how these companies are treating such beloved properties where they're taking them and butchering them, whether it's to compete with the Game of Thrones or it's to be more inclusive and diverse and woke, I'm not going to watch the show, and if I do, I'm literally going to read the books first, so I can see what the author's real story was, then potentially watch the show. The ratings aren't looking terrible like I showed, but currently people are saying it's very different from the books, and that's always worrying to hear. Even though I don't have a lot of nostalgia with Wheel of Time or a lot of experience with the universe, it's always disappointing to hear people say, you know, they tried, but they definitely didn't do as good as they could have. So that's all that I really had to discuss with the Wheel of Time. Probably in like 2 or 3 weeks, once the scores have evened out a little bit and the show's been out for a couple weeks, I'll probably talk about it one more time. I'm sure that these scores might go down a little bit more. Maybe the reviewer score will go up. But that's all that I really had to talk about with Wheel of Time. And we're going to move into Battlefield in a minute. But yeah, I'll read chat for a second. Please read the books first. Usually that's what I do because most of the time the books are way better than shows, movies, games, whatever the case may be. So I'm definitely going to probably read the books first. I'm not like rushing to read the books right now, but I'm not gonna watch the show until I've at least read the books and have that kind of experience in the author's original view kind of down and fresh in the memory, because I definitely don't want to be one of those people that's like, oh my gosh, the show is so good, even if I haven't experienced the original source material, that they've apparently changed quite a lot. So yeah, that's all that I have to talk about with that. Instead, Amazon shoehorned unnecessary drama and romance in Wheel of Time and deviated from the source material. Yeah, I've heard a lot of like a lot of complaints about it, and the initial scores aren't looking bad. But from people who are real fans, and I've read reviews from people that have like written their thoughts, apparently it's definitely not as good as the books, which is why I'm not going to watch the show right now, because I try to watch shows for most sci-fi, fantasy, entertainment that comes out, that's really, I don't want to say hyped, because I don't feel like the Wheel of Time had a lot of hype behind it, but that people are excited for, I guess is kind of a better word, or curious about. Usually I try to watch shows, movies, but I think I'm gonna stay away from Wheel of Time for now until I've read the books. I've never seen a TV series go from amazing to bad like Game of Thrones. I mean, Lost was kind of a everyone really, really loved it, and then we see where that went. In the matter of like a singular episode. Game of Thrones did it in 2 seasons. Lost did it in 1 fucking episode. So, yeah. I feel like Walking Dead was also a show where it was super fucking hyped. People loved Walking Dead. And then as the seasons have gone on, people, I don't want to say give no singular fucks about Walking Dead anymore, but they're ending the show because the ratings have fallen, the viewership's fallen. I haven't been keeping up with Walking Dead. Like, I'll read the general plot, but I haven't wasted my time watching the past few seasons. And I used to love Walking Dead. And then I just kind of gave up on Walking Dead. So, yeah. Doctor Who as well. Doctor Who also... Oh, Doctor Who over the years has faced controversy because people didn't like past writing, past actors, but it's definitely dropped in popularity quite a lot. It's still got millions of viewers, though. I mean, same thing with, like, Walking Dead. I mean, Game of Thrones, even though the last season was kind of hated, it still had amazing viewership because everyone wanted to know how they were going to end this great franchise. I'm looking forward to the new Game of Thrones spin-offs, prequels, sequels, bullshits, but I don't know. While I'm excited to see, like, House of Dragon, I'm also not excited to see what they're gonna fuck up with it now. So yeah, that's just how it goes. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna do this real quick so I can open up Steam and so I can open up Battlefield. Because I have to re-log in to my Steam. And then, yeah. Moving to the next topic. Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ, Steam. Your 50 million fucking pop-ups. I can't. Mostly negative. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. That's definitely a great sign. Right, guys? Definitely a great sign. Alright, everyone, so let's move on to the next topic of the evening, which is going to be Battlefield 2042. Now, over the weekend, I did attempt to live stream Battlefield 2042, and it was a giant fucking disaster. I couldn't deal with it. I ended up going to Halo. I couldn't get the game to run properly. I couldn't do anything. I mean, it was filled with bugs, filled with glitches, filled with unfortunate optimization problems and performance problems, and I was looking forward to 2042. I played the beta like 2 months ago when they had released it. I didn't really have any problems then, besides like some server connectivity issues and a couple of small bugs, but since the release, it has gone terribly. I'm really disappointed that they thought that this game was releasing in the state and the quality of it was acceptable by any means, but Battlefield 2042 is now one of the worst rated games on Steam of all time, and honestly, it deserves it. I don't refund games a lot, you guys. I really, really don't. When I refund games, it has to be really fucking terrible, and I had refunded Battlefield 2042. Besides what I had tried to stream, and I literally couldn't get the game to fucking run, I gave up on it. I didn't give a singular F. And it is the way that it is. I'm not crying over it. You know, Halo multiplayer's out. Call of Duty Vanguard. much better than Battlefield, mainly because they can fucking run. But this is an MP First article. It says, to say that November has not been a very good month for huge AAA publishers would be an understatement. Activision Blizzard is still deeply entrenched in controversies. Rockstar Games has been called out for their buggy launch of the GTA trilogy across all platforms, and Electronic Arts and DICE themselves are now facing the pushback from a buggy launch of their own. Despite a middling score on Metacritic, Battlefield 2042 is now one of Steam's worst rated games of all time, breaking the bottom 10 for the Hall of Shame. Now, of course, number 1 is eFootball 2022. I talked about this when it released. That is truly a fucking nightmare. That shit was hilarious to a certain extent, because it's never good when a game comes out and it's super fucking buggy and glitchy and the performance is awful, but eFootball 22 is fucking memeable. Flat Out 3, Chaos and Destruction. We're talking about some games here that don't have super high numbers for votes, like 2,900, 1,500, 1,500, but, of course, eFootball has 23,000 votes, and not very surprising because it blew up on social media. People were sharing screenshots talking about how disappointed they were in the product. But Battlefield 2042 has 35,000 votes at the time of this article. But now it's even worse because now it's got 42,000 mostly negative reviews. And I wanted to read some of the reviews here, just because I had a fucking awful time with 2042. I mean, I refunded it. I would not play it again, even if it was a $5 game, unless, like, they significantly fixed it, which, of course, they're probably not gonna do. But I wanted to read some of the reviews. People are saying things like 48 hours on record, may I add, which is pretty impressive. I couldn't even get 2 hours into the game, never mind almost 50 hours into the game. Game is a hot mess, so many bugs. They released this game way too early. It should have at least had another 6 months of development. I agree. I don't think the combat itself was bad. I didn't think that the maps were that bad. I felt like the maps, they created amazing maps and then enlarged them so that they could, like, have more space and so that they could fit 128 players on to the maps. And I felt like that was a giant problem. I felt like there was a lot of empty space. There was a lot of flat fucking open fields. And I felt like the game definitely needed more time in development, which was a problem. They rushed it. And I understand that a company wants to release a game, but didn't they learn from Cyberpunk? Truly, genuinely, I don't understand how they didn't fucking see the Cyberpunk situation and go, you know what, we don't want to be this year's Cyberpunk. And I truly believe that 2042 is 2077 for 2021. I truly do. Oh, by the way, guys, if you still haven't played Cyberpunk, now's the time to buy it because it's $10 for Black Friday. I mean, Cyberpunk for $10, not bad. People are saying things like, I've been playing since 1942, and this has been one of the worst launches I've been through. Remove the operators and get back to the basics that made you great. And this is unfortunately something that happens, is that companies and developers see the success their franchises are gaining. And while it's good to make new, fresh, different content, you can't stray too far off the path, because then you're going to lose people who like you for the things that you've perfected. People are going to say things exactly like this, get back to the basics that made your franchise great, and then when it comes to the next game or the game after that, people are going to stop giving you chances. They're going to stop pre-ordering your games. They're going to stop praising you, basically, and having faith in you. People are saying things like, I'm a Battlefield fan and veteran since Battlefield 2. This game is a pure disappointment. All the great features from previous Battlefields are gone. I have a feeling that this game is not even made by veteran DICE developers. Feels like an intern graduation project. That's gotta fucking suck. Because I'm someone who always says, let's give companies time to fix games. Like, look at Cyberpunk. I was someone who said, let's give CD Projekt Red a chance to fix their wrongs, and boy oh boy has that been still a fucking disaster. But it must feel pretty fucking bad as a developer to see people say things like it feels like an intern graduation project. It's gotta feel bad, but they deserved it. They were the ones who decided to release the game in this state, and they thought that people would love it and that it would be perfectly fine. And oh, it runs good enough for us, so other people probably won't have too bad of a problem with it. Someone has 48 hours on record and actually gave it a thumbs up. One of the very few here. In its current state, it's playable, but over time they will implement bug fixes and patches to fix all, if not a lot, of the issues that have been present since launch. I will add, everything that made Battlefield series great is kinda missing in this one, though. Maybe you will see all the reviews and add the missing features back that everyone wants in future patches or something. Time will tell, but overall, game is playable, but be prepared to get frustrated. I hate reviews like this. This is how they feel, so it is what it is, but I hate reviews that are like this, where they give it a thumbs up. They say, you know what, we got the bare minimum, so we should be fucking happy. Like, the game is playable. It's missing all the features that made previous games good, but it's fine. I'm still gonna give it a positive review. I could never. Like, I give companies multiple chances, and that's probably not always great, but I still try to give companies multiple chances. I'm not someone who instantly says, nope, the game failed, I'll never buy another game from them again. But yowza. Wow, 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 wow. That definitely deserves a thumbs up, don't you guys think? Ah, yeah, your game's generic as fucking hell. It's missing all the features we previously liked, and it's quote-unquote playable, but maybe one day they'll fix it. That's just not, it's just not it for me. That's just not it. Put setting to highest, about 50 FPS. Put settings to lowest, about 58 FPS. Lower resolution, about 58. They're running a 2080 Ti. Yeah, I mean, I'm running a pretty decent PC, and I couldn't get the game to run for shit. On stream, off stream, it was a disaster. Someone has 25 hours on record. I was really looking forward to this game and was excited for it, and honestly, I can deal with bugs here and there, but this game is riddled with them. You can't go to a game without a bug. It's almost like they didn't even test it, nor did they take criticism from when the beta was out. This is disappointing, because they did have a beta. They should have listened to feedback. They should have listened to the people who tried it early. And I'm someone who can deal with slight performance problems, can deal with graphical bugs, glitches. But this was a fucking nightmare, and there was no way that a game releasing from an EA and a DICE in 2021 that this quality should be fucking acceptable. It's not acceptable at all whatsoever. And again, I'm someone who usually keeps copies of games and tries in half a year, or maybe even another year, to give it another chance and see if they fixed it. But I'd rather refund it, and maybe in like a year, buy it for $5 in a discount bin. Such a disappointing situation, so disheartening to see, because so many people were excited for it, and I'm not someone who has a ton of Battlefield nostalgia, but I still was like, hell yeah, I love FPSs, I'm totally up for giving this game a chance, and unfortunately, it's a massive disaster. So, that's all that I really had to talk about with Battlefield, you guys. It's unfortunate. As the days, the weeks go on, I'm sure that we'll see its score continue to lower, and if it goes maybe to 5th place or something, or 4th, I'm definitely going to talk about it again, because I'm personally really disappointed with it. But, yeah, that's all that I really had to discuss with that. And, just a couple of minutes, we're going to move into we're gonna move into Ghostbusters, guys. I have lots of thoughts on Ghostbusters and this article. But yeah, I'll reach out for a few. If you guys are enjoying the live stream, give it a like. If you're not, give it a dislike. Consider donating via Streamlabs. All donations pop up. Consider becoming a Dark Titan via memberships. All the links are in the description. Thank you guys for being here. Much appreciated. I'm waiting for Horizon Forbidden West. I hope that it comes out and it's really good. We really haven't seen that much about it yet, though, so I'm feeling a little worried about it, but I guess we'll see as time goes on. Well, yeah, I do understand. I mean, I talked about it with the Cyberpunk situation, you know. It's November, and they need to release a game now in order to get it out for the holidays. But with how many refunds they faced and how many people are disappointed with the product they released, I don't think they're going to get many sales for the holidays. I'm just going to be honest. I'd rather buy Cyberpunk. At least Cyberpunk's kind of fixed now. I'd like to upgrade my rig for my second Cyberpunk playthrough. Yeah, well, I don't think we're gonna get the DLCs for a very long time because all the DLCs have been pushed back, which is really unfortunate. But I know for me, I haven't really replayed Cyberpunk. I had done 2 playthroughs and that was it. It's definitely something I've been reconsidering booting back up and giving another playthrough to now that a lot of the bugs are fixed. Unfortunately, though, a big problem is the fact that they haven't released any new content. That, for me, is disappointing. I was really hoping now, a year after launch, they would have released some kind of content, but it is what it is. They haven't yet. Maybe one day soon, we'll get lucky enough. The new Resident Evil movie has a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes? Really? I mean, who expected that to do well? I'm a fucking Resident Evil simp. I love Resident Evil, one of my favorite franchises. But, yikes. Oh, yeah, 58% right now. Oh, guys, I have something to show you. Hold on, I gotta bring up the page. Guys, so there's been a lot of just amazing movies that have released this year, right? But one of the best movies to release this year, in my opinion, it's getting a sequel. They announced today that one of 2021's best goddamn movies to release is getting a sequel. Listen, I understand, okay, that Hollywood is desperate for any kind of content they can release, right? But is a Clifford 2 really the direction? Is Clifford 2 really what they want to spend money on? Clifford the Big Red Dog. The first fucking movie has a Hey, the budget for Clifford was $64 million. Right now, at the box office, Clifford has made $30,000. $34 million. 30,000. So 64 million budget, and it's made 30 million. And they're already greenlighting a fucking number 2. Eternals also hasn't made the money it needed to break even. But they're not even talking about Eternals 2. These motherfuckers are with the future. They are ready. They know what's gonna sell. Clifford might not be that popular right now, guys. But in 5 years, Clifford is gonna be number 1. They spent $64 million on Clifford 1, guys. It's only made $34 million. This is cinema. Clifford goes to college. Okay, that's it. We're not talking about Clifford anymore. I just thought I'd tell everyone their favorite movie of 2021 is getting a sequel. He's making a comeback. Clifford goes to civics classes. I bet 60 million went to Clifford's CGI. Probably. Where did the other 60 million go? I understand that we need kids' content releasing, guys, but is Clifford really it? CGI Clifford that takes almost $70 million to make, may I add. We're not talking about like a $30 million movie. I mean, that's a chunk of change for a big CGI dog. Hollywood is sad. Guys, it's 2021. I guess don't let your dreams be memes. Oh no. Oh no. We're already memeing on Clifford, guys. Just be nice to Clifford, okay? He's had a rough life. Okay, guys. You guys, I knew that you loved Clifford, so I thought that I'd bring it up just to quickly let you guys know about it. DLC seemed to be Q3 or Q4 of 2022. Cyberpunk, yeah. Unfortunately. We'll see what happens, though. Because they could definitely push those back even more. Dreams do come true. They actually do. Guys, I called up my Hollywood contacts and told them, listen, Clifford was the best movie this year. You guys need to greenlight a sequel. They did it. Within 5 hours. They already announced another. What can I say? Eternals 2 guest starring Clifford. Guys, I don't even know if they're gonna do an Eternals 2. I'm sure maybe they will. I actually truly don't know. It just hasn't done what they thought it was gonna do. It hasn't made all of its money back. It hasn't even made the budget back, I don't think. Or maybe it had just beat the budget. The CCU. The Clifford Cinematic Universe coming to a screen near you. Okay, guys, we're gonna move into the next topic of the night before we talk about Clifford the whole goddamn night. Listen, I watch a lot of movies to talk about and review on this channel, okay? But Clifford is not gonna be one of them. Unless Elon Musk is sending me a Tesla, there's no way. And that's not happening, so there's no way. Now, I talk about the Mary Sue a lot. They're a website filled with writers who literally come up with the worst fucking headlines they can to piss people off to hopefully get rage clicks. And Ghostbusters Afterlife is something that I saw in theaters. And I really liked Ghostbusters Afterlife. Spoilers for Ghostbusters Afterlife? I don't remember there being many in the article, but still, spoiler alert. I really liked what they did with Afterlife. I thought that the direction they went in was pretty well done, and overall, I'd give the movie I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It was really good. It wasn't, in my opinion, something that I regretted seeing. It's definitely not as bad as Eternals, that's for shit sure. But of course, the Mary Sue just cannot accept the fact that people like Afterlife more than Ghostbusters 2016, because they are now saying, let's unpack the sexist box office narrative around Ghostbusters Afterlife. Oh, gee whiz. Guys, clearly, because people like Ghostbusters Afterlife, that means that there's a sexist narrative around it. It says Answer the Call made more money than Afterlife, but it was still deemed a flop. Gee, I wonder why. I think that this is hilarious. They're saying a movie from 2016 made more money than Afterlife. A movie that's been out for not even a week. Yeah, I guess. I guess you have a point. A movie that's been out for many years has made more money? Listen. Ghostbusters 2016 was awful, not because it featured women. I know I look in the mirror every day and go, wow, today I woke up and I still fucking hate women as much as I did yesterday. But I didn't hate Ghostbusters 2016 because it was filled with women. I didn't like Ghostbusters 2016 because the story was awful. It was really fucking bizarre. You had a bunch of Mary Sue characters. You didn't have anything that really felt like Ghostbusters. And that was the point of 2016. But it says this weekend, Ghostbusters Afterlife hit theaters, claiming the top spot at the box office with a $44 million domestic debut. It's a solid opening weekend given the pandemic of it all, and will likely earn more money this coming holiday weekend, and despite a less than enthusiastic 62% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, fans are loving the follow-up film, giving it a 96% audience score. I definitely think that the critic score is low. 62%. It was much better than a 62% in my opinion. But we saw critics give it a 62% because they said it had too much fan service, which is absolutely ridiculous. I thought the movie had a very good balance between fan service and also establishing itself as a continuation. So obviously, these are new characters, except for the original team that shows up. These are new characters. You've got Phoebe, you've got Trevor, you've got the mother, you've got these new characters. And they're setting up, in the first half, you know, establishing the past 30 years when the Ghostbusters weren't around. But then you've also got the second half, which is a lot of fan service. You see proton packs, you see the original cast of characters, you see all these villains and this cool story come together. And yes, I definitely understand there was a lot of fan service in it, but that's not a bad thing. It really, really worked for Afterlife, and that was a big reason why I personally liked it. But audiences are giving it really great review scores right now. It's sitting at a 96% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is fantastic. I thought that the movie was an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. It was the best, by far the best continuation, sequel, reboot, any of those that's come out that I've seen. I mean, it was a really good movie. But it says, I saw Afterlife Thursday night, and as a lifelong Ghostbusters fan, I had a blast. The movie was funny, heartfelt, and delivered on all of the warm, fuzzy nostalgia fans want from the series. But I can't help but be frustrated with how different the Afterlife narrative is from that of the 2016's woman-led Answer the Call. Did these people not watch Afterlife? Because Afterlife has multiple female characters. Phoebe, okay, the younger girl, she's 12. She's the main character for the most part, right? She's super fucking smart. They set her up for the next stories. We don't know exactly what they're gonna do, but she was a really well-written character. They had the mother, okay, Egon's daughter, in there. What is the point that they're trying to make here? Because while, yes, Answer the Call had more women, all of the marketing around Afterlife was about not only the original cast of characters, but about these female characters, and specifically Phoebe being the main character. So it's not like we're going from, oh, you know, this woman-led Answer the Call to a movie without any females. The main character in Afterlife was a female. Of course, it's not good enough for them, though. It says Answer the Call was inundated with bad press and toxic fandom that started during the film's production. Once the fans learned that the film would center on 4 women Ghostbusters, the angry men of the internet mobilized to tank the film, from downvoting the trailers on YouTube to flooding Rotten Tomatoes with bad reviews. For me, I personally did not like Ghostbusters 2016 at all, and it wasn't because the main cast of characters were females. I didn't like it because it didn't feel like Ghostbusters. It didn't respect the source material in the other movies. It felt like something that they were just going, men are stupid and bad, and women are so much better because we're women. I don't want to watch a movie like that. I didn't dislike 2016 because it had females. I disliked it because it was just a garbage movie. It says, thanks to the relentlessly negative press, Answer the Call was deemed dead on arrival despite earning $46 million its opening weekend. The box office narrative painted the film as a flop, and plans for a sequel were quickly scrapped. Plans for a sequel were quickly scrapped because the story wasn't good, the CGI was mediocre, the writing just wasn't all that amazing, the acting was poor, it didn't feel like Ghostbusters. It wasn't scrapped because, sexism and people don't want to watch women in a movie. It was scrapped because it just didn't do good. It says the Hollywood Reporter featured a headline that read Ghostbusters heading for $70 million plus loss, sequel unlikely, despite Sony saying nothing about a sequel. Yeah, Sony never said anything about a sequel because they clearly saw the fact that the first movie didn't do well. So why are they going to greenlight or even talk about a sequel when the first one didn't even make money on? It didn't make any money. It didn't make any of its funds back. It didn't break even. It says, in contrast, THR's headline for Afterlife reads, Ghostbusters Afterlife opens to a heavenly $44 million, and while it's a fine opening weekend, it made barely half of what fellow blockbusters like Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and F9 The Fast Saga have raked in. Yes, because they're here talking about movies that have been out for weeks to months, saying, it only made $44 million so far. Yeah, because it's been out for less than a week. Of course it's gonna make less than fucking a Black Widow, a Shang-Chi, or an F9, because it hasn't been out for even close to the amount of time that these other films have been out. Of course. It says Answer the Call made $2 million more than Afterlife did on opening weekend, and it received a 74% fresh rating from critics. And the audience score is a dismal 49%. So, of course, they're trying to say, well, it made $2 million more, plus its critic rating was better. Yeah, but if you look at the audience scores, there's a night and day difference there. It says, there is something strange in that neighborhood, and surprise, surprise, it's sexism. Oh, guys, it's that darned sexism. I mean, holy shit. It's so stupid, articles like this. They're true. They're just awful. Okay? it's blaming this shitty movie failing, but saying this amazing movie is succeeding because of sexism. Wow. You have to be truly gifted to spin it this way. It says, from the online hate campaign to the male-dominated world of entertainment journalism, it seems that men at large unilaterally decided that Answer the Call would be a flop, and the narrative stuck. No, people thought that Answer the Call, which is a shitty name for a movie, by the way, they thought that it would flop because the story was bad. The actors were going around attacking people who weren't happy with the story. It was pretty easy to see that it was gonna flop. It says fueling this narrative was the respective budgets of the film. This to me made me fucking just shake my head. Answer the Call cost a hefty $144 million to produce and earned $229 million worldwide. In contrast, Afterlife was made for a more modest $75 million budget, which is easier to recoup. So they're trying to paint this narrative that, oh, because Ghostbusters 2016 had a higher budget, it was set up to fail because it would need to make more money to be considered successful. But I disagree, because a higher budget usually means higher expectations, and they thought that they were going to make more back from it. They thought it was going to do really well. And companies a lot of times don't throw money at things they've got no hope for. So yeah, Afterlife was given less than 2016 was given. I don't think that that's a bad thing. They're basically saying, oh, because 2016 had double the budget, that means it was set up to fail. I disagree. I think that that's such a stupid angle to try to take. Like, oh no, because it was given more money, meaning it was set up to fail. I mean, yikes. Yikes. It says Answer the Call was, of course, attacked by, as they're calling, angry misogynists who were furious that the original Ghostbusters weren't reprising their roles. And then, of course, Harold Ramis sadly passed away in 2014. Yeah. We're talking about Ghostbusters here. I want to see Ghostbusters with the original cast of characters. Of course I do. Who wouldn't? Apparently there are some people, like the writer of this article, who thought, oh, we don't need that original cast of characters because it paints this narrative that unless you have old men running around to carry a franchise, something can't do good. Yikes. They were saying things like, Reitman himself stoked the flames of fandom, promising, we are in every way trying to go back to the original technique and hand the movie back to the fans, which I think that he did in the new movie. I think that Afterlife was really well done. It was done for fans, but again, it also stood on its own as an individual movie as a new experience. I thought that they did really, really well with Afterlife. I thought that they definitely did go back to that original technique, and I feel like they did definitely dive into what made Ghostbusters successful. That charm, that, yes, it was made for younger audiences, but also in this, again, it's a story for fans and for people with nostalgia, and I thought that it was just really, really well done, and it was mashed together really well. It was good. It was good. It says both Afterlife and Answer the Call. What a fucking stupid name, by the way. I think I already said that like 3 fucking times. Stupid. Both Afterlife and Answer the Call are solid films and welcome entries into the canon, and they should be treated as such. Afterlife even has its own iconic female lead. After leaving the theater, I couldn't help but imagine what a crossover sequel might look like with fucking the 2016 characters, which I think is so fucking stupid. I don't want anything to do with 2016 Ghostbusters. I felt like they could stop selling copies of that movie and I would never be sad. I could care less. Truly, there was nothing redeemable about 2016 Ghostbusters. Really, there wasn't. But of course, as you saw throughout the article, they're basically saying, oh, after the call, what's it fucking called? Answer the Call, stupid name. Answer the Call was set up to fail, and Afterlife was given more chances because of the sexist box office narrative. I personally will never watch Answer the Call, Ghostbusters 2016 again, but I would definitely rewatch Afterlife quite a few times because it was really, really good, and overall it was a fun, lighthearted, but also really, really impactful experience as a Ghostbusters fan. But that's all that I really had to discuss with that. The Mary Sue, of course, coming up with bullshit, talking about, oh, you know, the reason why Afterlife is doing well is because of sexist narratives. And next we're gonna move into Masters of the Universe. Spoiler alert for Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2. I wish I could say I was surprised, but I am not. I want to read kind of the general plot. and show off some images. Yep. Yep, that's how it goes. That's what happens, guys. Listen, Ghostbusters is a bad topic. Never mind having to go into fucking Revelations Part 2. This is bad news. But yeah, really quickly, guys, if you're enjoying the live stream, give it a like. If you're not, give it a dislike, even though no one can see dislikes anymore. F in chat for the dislike button. If you're enjoying the stream, consider donating via Streamlabs. All donations pop up. $3 or more text-to-speech activates. Consider becoming a member of the channel via YouTube memberships or on Patreon. All the links are in the description, and I will be letting you guys know soon. But I believe probably next week I'm going to be doing a supporter live stream, but I will update you all. There's a new Masters of the Universe, yes. So Revelations Part 1 came out a couple of months ago, but Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2 has released, and it is a bit of a disaster. Spoiler alert, because I am going to be showing off some images of the characters and reading a general description of the plot. Great. Guys, there's a lot I can deal with, right? I watch a lot of dumb fucking entertainment, but this description, from what I've read about Revelation Part 2 so far, this is how they've massacred our boy. You endure it for us, Vera, and we appreciate that. Well, I'm glad, because I don't appreciate that I'm doing it to myself. Yeah, so the dislike button, I know that for some people it hasn't rolled out yet, the dislikes being hidden. For me, I can't see dislikes on anything anymore. On my cellular device, on my web apps, I can't see dislikes at all anymore. But so I know that it's started to roll out for a lot of people. This is the way it is, though. We all knew that it was coming. We all knew it was gonna happen. Thank you, Riker, for the $25 donation. No text-to-speech, but thank you for the dono. Much appreciated. Joke's on you, Netflix. I saw Part 1 free on YouTube and no interest in seeing Part 2. Yeah, this is a bit of a disaster. Ooh. I haven't seen Revelations Part 2 yet. It only just came out yesterday. But, I mean, I know the whole plot. And my thoughts are not going to change. That's for sure. So, guys, I'm not going to talk too much about Revelations Part 2, primarily because I think that I'm going to be making a video on it tomorrow, since I do have quite a lot of thoughts on it. But, again, spoiler alert for Revelations Part 2. Revelations Part 1 was a nightmare. If you are a Masters of the Universe He-Man fan, Revelations Part 1 was definitely something that a lot of people probably didn't like. We saw it get awful reviews, awful scores, and overall the story was very disappointing. They marketed it as this He-Man superfan show, and he was in 2 of the episodes. We've heard a lot of rumors regarding Andra and Tila and Evelyn, and we knew that Part 2 was going to be about Evelyn, primarily because Kevin fucking Smith said, oh, Part 2 is all fucking about Evelyn. And she basically becomes the main character, and we've heard a lot of spoilers, but now the show is here. Oh, no. No. I've seen a lot of bad content, guys, over the years. But why couldn't they have released this a month ago? I would have known who I was going as for Halloween. Oh, no. This has to be the biggest what the fuck I've probably seen. It's top 5 what the fucks I've seen for shows. Truly. Truly. Guys, we're out with He-Man, and we're out with He-Man, and we're in with Hevelyn. I don't know what drugs Kevin Smith was on when he came up with this, but whatever it is, I do not want any. So, Master of the Universe, Revelation Part 2, reboot puts He-Man in the back seat. They truly did not give a single fuck about He-Man. They made him into a dumb, giant, fucking blonde Hulk just to push He-Man. Literally. It says Masters of the Universe Revelation may have just gotten started after it finishes Season 2 in an intense 5-episode series. The cutting-edge animation and the ambitious storytelling works well, but the final fight packs in too much of a sorcery battle to make the end look a lot more like a life lesson. That, though, doesn't mean Revelation is a disappointment. The twists and surprises make it worth the watch, and the episodes with a crisp, less than 30 minutes runtime make it a breezy affair. Guys, Entertainment 2021. They even gave her the fucking haircut. The fucking Justin Bieber haircut. I mean, yikes. This is entertainment. This is cinema. Move over, Clifford. He-Man. I don't understand. Who thought that this was a good idea? The second part of the series delves a lot into the people that make Eternia, the role of the sorceress, and the fact that the power sword is just a conduit for harnessing champion superpower, and ultimately the shocker at the end that says a new chapter is over the horizon. There's a lot that they could have done with Revelation. A lot. And they decided to make the worst choices possible. They truly did. Last we saw, Teela and her band of heroes and villains succeeded in bringing Prince Adam, only for them to discover that Skeletor was hiding in Evelyn's scepter the entire time. He seizes the, hello? Webpage. Please stop moving around. You're gonna give me a seizure. He seizes the right opportunity to grab the power sword and become Skelegod, an improved and far powerful version of who dictates the terms for the first couple of episodes. Soon after, the threat arises in the form of a disgruntled Evelyn that also ends with an unlikely team-up between the good and evil that most ardents didn't expect. Much of He-Man is seen only in the final 2 chapters, and until that time, it is all a Prince Adam show who proves that being a hero isn't about ripping huge muscles and the sword. Teela and Evelyn steal the show in the end, making He-Man more of a supporting character. Now, I, as a He-Man fan, didn't fucking want them to make a show where He-Man is a side character. That is super disappointing, and I think to a lot of He-Man fans, that's really disappointing. I can understand, maybe in part 1, if they really needed to put He-Man on the back burner for part 2, for him to swoop in and be amazing, but they didn't do that. We thought that part 1 was bad. This is worse. It says Teela and Evelyn's pasts are better explored, making them key characters in the series. The latter was seen siding with the heroes, and the betrayal by the one who claims to have made her stings her heart as she goes on a universe-destroying spree. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they've decided to make Evelyn the bad woman. Let's put it that way. Here's another article. Evelyn usurps Skeletor. She basically fucking seduces Skeletor. After coming into power, one of Skeletor's first acts of business is to make Evelyn the new sorceress, which she isn't exactly pleased about because this keeps her locked away in Grayskull. Although Skeletor gives her access to the entire universe, she's still not happy that he keeps using her as a tool rather than as an ally. Man, it must be so hard. It must be so fucking difficult to have the universe at your fingertips. She just needed more. She needed more power. Skeletor pushes Evil into her limits by calling her a gutter rat. Harking back to her origin, listen, I think that there's probably a lot of women in Revelation that would die to have Skeletor call them a gutter rat. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing out the fact. Okay? I'm sure that there are women in Masters of the Universe that think that that's kinky as well. I mean, this is ridiculous. The thing that sets Evelyn off, the thing that sets her down this path, and I understand that, like, she has her own history with Skeletor, but the thing that sets her down this road is the fact that he called her a gutter rat. That's like a nothing insult. That's so dumb. Like, that's all that it took? It says it's difficult for her, especially because she's been with Skeletor most of her life, but ultimately Skeletor's own short-sighted goals make her realize that she can do so much better. Guys, she is a strong, independent woman, and she can do so much better than him. Skeletor teams up with Prince Adam. I understand that they tried to do something different with this series, but this is just not what fans really wanted. One of the most surprising moments in the series sees Skeletor surrender to the Eternian forces, offering to team up with Prince Adam to stop Evelyn. It says, now that's character development. Though the skull-faced baddie, who wrote this article, is obviously aware that if Lyn wipes out the universe, he'll have his own power stripped away from him, so it is more about self-preservation rather than selflessness. It says, unfortunately, even though their team-up won't be enough to simply put a stop to Lyn, where she brings up all the dead as her new army, as it points out, a sprawling battle rages on, while Adam and Skeletor try to keep her distracted long enough to get the Sword of Power, and like we knew from the leaks, Teela becomes the new sorceress. Not very surprising, we knew that this was the direction that they were going to go and they were setting up hard for it in part 1. Teela is understandably reluctant to embrace her own magical abilities, largely because she's still resentful for the fact that her mother never tried to connect with her for all those years fighting Grayskull. Oh my god, this is so boring. Oh my gosh, Teela just has had so much rough stuff in her life happen to her. Oh my gosh, her mother couldn't connect to her because she was too busy saving the fucking galaxy. Oh, Evelyn was just set off the edge. And she just became the bad guy because her little feelings were hurt. I mean, they tried to set up these women as being strong and independent and wanting more for themselves, yet all they come across are like little whiny brats. Teela doesn't want to sacrifice herself for the match. She doesn't want to help everyone because, her mother never connected with her because she was too busy fighting for the universe's safety, right? That's so hard. That's a rough life. Oh, Evelyn was set off because, yeah, Skeletor's treated her badly, treated her like shit. He still is the one giving her power. But no. It's just the life too hard. I mean, all this is feel bad for me. I'm a strong, independent woman. This is the best they could come up with? It's so dumb. It's so boring. And it's like you thought that part 1 was gonna be the worst part, but part 2 is even worse. I truly don't. I truly am... I'm amazed that this is the best writing they could come up with. It's truly mind-blowing. Because they have ruined Tila so fucking much. They have ruined Evil Lynn so fucking much. That this is the writing that they're coming up with for these characters. They threw He-Man to the side, made him a big, dumb idiot. They have Skeletor teaming up with the good guys now. They have women sticking up for themselves and being strong and independent and defeating the bad guys and taking their own life into their hands and their own fate into their hands. And they're ruining characters as they're doing it. Because look at Tila. Tila has always been for the greater good. But now she's not because she has mommy and daddy issues. And oh no. You know, her mother never tried to connect with her all those years ago. That's why she doesn't know if she wants to embrace her magical abilities. That's so dumb. It's so stupid. And, like I said, I'm gonna talk about this more in a video tomorrow, I believe. But I'm truly just so disappointed that this is the best that they could do. That's all that I really had to discuss with Masters of the Universe, guys. And that's all that I really had to talk about during tonight's stream. We talked about Wheel of Time, Battlefield 2042, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and Evil Lynn. But yeah, I'm going to stick around and chat for a few minutes. So if you guys have any questions or topics you'd like me to discuss, feel free to leave them in chat. If you're enjoying the stream, give it a like. If you're not, give it a dislike. Consider donating via Streamlabs. All donos pop up. $3 or more text-to-speech activates. Consider becoming a member of the channel via memberships or a Dark Titan via Patreon. I mean, next year, guys, for Halloween, I'm going as Evil Lynn. The worst part is the haircut here, truly. Like, that, like, it's the worst part. It's the worst part. Like, that cape looks cool. Like, it looks cool. Like, the outfit isn't even that bad. But it's like, these fucking jacked-o muscles. We thought that Tila looked bad. We thought that Tila looked bad. It's the Justin Bieber 2021 feminism haircut. It just doesn't look good. I mean, yikes. Who thought that this was a good idea? I don't know. I don't know who was on what drugs when this was written, but I do not want any. Yeah, I have the steroids, because, I mean, those are some serious muscles. Guys, I don't know who's impressed by this, but it's not me, that's for sure. Better start working on your pecs. I guess so. I mean, if I want to be Evil Lynn for Halloween next year, I better start working on them now. Gonna need a shipment of steroids ASAP. She has more muscle than Spider-Man. She has more muscles than He-Man! I mean, I'm fine, obviously, with strong women being lead characters and things, but when you're shoving male characters to the side and making them dumb and stupid to make way for the women, I don't like that. When did Evil Lynn have the time to go to the gym? I don't know, but she's had a lot of time on her hands, apparently. Yeah, I'm just not impressed. Personally, I'm not impressed with what they've done. I'm really disappointed that they massacred these characters. Truly. This is the plot, in case you guys wanted to read it quickly. This is basically the plot. Evil Lynn tells Skelegod to power down to Skeletor in order for them to fuck, because of Skelegod. He will fuck her to death. Skeletor falls for it and powers down. She yoinks the sword, becoming Evil Lynn. Skelegod is actually a bait and switch, and the real villain is Evil Lynn. Characters spend entire episodes crying about their feelings. I mean, He-Man appears only in the final episode. I mean, this is awful. This is just so unimpressive. I don't know. I can deal with a lot, but this is too far. This is too far. Wow. It's truly, this is cinema, guys. This is entertainment. I wish that this was a joke. I truly do. I wish that this was fake. These were fake images, and these were not real, but unfortunately, they're very real. And this is the direction they went in. What webcam and mic do you use? I use a Shure SM7B microphone with a Scarlett audio interface. And I use as a webcam the Logitech Brio 4K webcam. But yeah, the show was a giant bait and switch. And they didn't give a singular fuck about He-Man. Even though Kevin Smith said, oh, it's not the Teela show. It's not the Evelyn show. And it's literally the Teela and Evelyn show. Wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm truly not. The cape is the only good thing here. Yeah, I think the cape looks fine. And even the outfit itself doesn't look bad. But she's so fucking steroided up, it doesn't look good. I mean, that outfit's fine. Like, the longer, dressy bottom, like, the neck piece, like, it doesn't look bad. It's just, it's the body that they put it on doesn't look good. Who else is pumped for Clerks 3? No one. There's gotta be a couple people that like this. Revelation Part 2. So they're excited, probably. I don't know, guys. It's really disappointing to see that this is the best entertainment that people can come up with now. I'm not surprised, though. Kevin Smith has been, unfortunately, someone who has gone to the dark side. He's turned into the very person he said he never wanted to become. And we knew that this was going to happen. We knew that it was going to be the Teela and the Andra and the Evelyn show, and they were going to push He-Man to the side, and that is exactly what they did. But alright, you guys, I am going to end the live stream here. Thank you all so much for stopping by tonight. I do really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, please make sure to give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Thank you for the donations and the support tonight, you guys. I will be streaming again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. I will not be streaming like Thursday or Friday just because of the holidays. But I'm going to do, because usually I stream Thursdays, I'm going to do the stream tomorrow night. I'll probably be playing some Halo Infinite. I will update you all. I'll probably be doing a Masters of the Universe video tomorrow, so make sure to check that out. Also check out, like, yesterday's video if you didn't see it already. I was going to say today's, but I didn't upload today. Check out, you know, yesterday's video, the past couple days worth of videos. Follow me on social media, Twitter, Minds, BitChute, Odyssey. Join our Discord server. We're very active there, and I do tag you all when I go live in case YouTube doesn't notify you of the live streams. But yeah. Tomorrow night, stream, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be doing some Halo Infinite. I'll have a video up tomorrow on Masters of the Universe. And yeah, with that being said, I'm glad we had a night full of laughs, guys. Laughing at a sexist afterlife, laughing at Evelyn. Lots of laughs with Clifford. We had some very riveting discussions tonight. Mistresses of the Universe. Literally, that's what they turned the series into. But alright, guys. Stream tomorrow. Video tomorrow. Thank you all so much for stopping by, and have a fantastic evening, everyone.